Welcome everyone to another edition of Office Hours by Infinix. Pleasure to have all of you here, and really big pleasure to have Autumn here join us. Autumn is the Director of Patient Financial Services at Florida Cancer Specialists and Research Institute. We have been working with Florida Cancer recently on some of our patient access capabilities, and it's been a delight to work with Autumn and her team. I hope she can say the same about us. We'll find
I
out.
can say the
Right,
same.
Autumn?
No.
Welcome to Infinix Office Hours. So if you're ready, we can get started. Um, you know, the objective of today's session is really to have a conversation with you about, the patient access processes, challenges that FCS was encountering. How has the engagement with Infinix been like? And what are the potential benefits that you're seeing out of it? Just, let's have an open conversation about that. Hopefully, our attendees and people who've joined us can have an insightful and informative session based on that.
Yeah.
So I just want to get started by asking you, about some of the challenges within your patient access and intake process, perhaps in 2023.
Yeah, there's plenty right now, but with Infinix, it's been helping out quite a bit. So first of all, thank you to you and to your team. You guys have been all a delight to work with, so professional and responsive. So thank you for that, first of all. But to get into what Florida Cancer Specialists were facing as a lot of their challenges, specifically in the intake insurance verification piece, is our clientele, they are repeat customers. They are coming back. These are patients that are coming back time and time and time again. And often their demographic, they are of an elderly demographic, most of them, and can switch to Medicare very quickly. So we've got insurance changing all the time, including a lot of out-of-state plans and such. And what we were finding is that we were literally having to look at every patient that is scheduled every single day to say, hey, does this patient still have active coverage, and is it accurate, and is it and do we have all the actual data that we need to successfully bill out a claim the first time and it not get rejected or denied on the back end, and we're wasting time, right, collecting dollars overall. So what we found through Infinix, the biggest benefit is really, well, the automation piece. We're able with that tool to really eliminate and sort of streamline all of the processes that were manual that no longer have to be. There's so many pieces of that process that were manual and really didn't have to be. And what we found through that is, it's handling all of the data entry piece, all of the initiation portion of it. And it's great because what we're finding is all that's really left for my team is what I want left for my team. The core staff we have here left are, sort of those subject matter experts that we need going in there and doing their thing when things are complicated. We're in cancer care, so it is definitely more complicated than my multi-specialty experience. Not to knock multi-specialty, there's just a lot more to it. And you're having to re-verify things much more often to make sure. You always want to make sure we can't afford to lose $100,000 on a treatment because we had the wrong insurance on file. And that's what we're subject to lose very easily and commonly if we're not doing it the right way. So what we found is it's just really leaving the stuff that we need our subject matter experts for and taking all that manual data entry piece out of the puzzle and letting Infinix sort of take that burden off of our plate.
No, great. I'm glad to hear that. You touched upon a couple of things. You touched upon how automation as a capability really is what you were looking for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's what is translating into some of those benefits. So I want to touch on both those points. Primarily, can you just delve a little bit deeper into when you and your organization did decide to seek some help within this process, what were you really looking for? Did you have a specific vendor profile in mind, or were you open
Well,
to
we did. We sort of had our own sort of internal checklist of items that we would need as an organization to make this work for us. And I had actually chosen, so this is the second time Infinix actually got chosen. So that's to say something, because we looked at a lot of different vendors. And I had looked at them personally. We wanted to start this project previously, and then we had a change in executive leadership, so it sort of got put on hold. And when they brought in our new VP C-suite, they ended up picking the exact same. So I knew from the beginning you guys were the right ones to go with. So we've been finding another one of the pain points I do want to point out that while I'm not over our upfront registration staff at the clinic, we all know people make errors, right? I mean, people enter information wrong all the time. I will say from our eligibility and denials that I get, 95% of them is because of human data entry error. And trust me, I've done more audits on that than I'd care to admit, but it's due to human error, which we all can do, but just one little number wrong, and all of a sudden, that patient's not recognized, and it's causing a whole fiasco. So what Infinix has done is, when we are making human entry errors, you guys are able to respond back with what is the missing information that we originally provided to you that said, hey, these are the 10 main things that we need back as an organization to make this work for us. And if it's missing one of those items, it's great how you guys have it set up to populate out into a separate queue where my subject matter experts are the ones working the ones they need to. And
right. And
catching those
it's ironic.
demographic errors the first time. Like I said, we've got a huge AR, we're a very large organization. So to keep up on 100% of denials on the back end is not the way you want to do it, right? You want to catch it up front and figure out where those issues are stemming from. So we're definitely looking forward to continued working with you guys and even expanding the services you're doing for us right now. So.
No, I think that's very interesting, right? When we look at automation, we talk about automation, people instantly talk about cost savings and turnaround times. But one of the advantages also is accuracy, right? Because people
that's the most
underestimate human error, right?
That's
And it's almost interesting how humans are better at the more complicated tasks. And
right.
there's more errors in these more redundant data entry, monotonous
Right.
work. So almost designed to be better suited to an automated capability. And you have some of those complicated tasks that you said, especially in oncology, that you want.
Sometimes we definitely need to dig a little bit deeper. Not that your, system doesn't provide, oodles of information, but with the complexities and, that just fall in line with our business, So, but it has been great. But you're right. Quality is utmost in getting the information, or at least getting that data back right away. It's either they don't have insurance, which is huge. We need to then treat them as a self-pay patient or obtain what their current information is. As where right now, unfortunately, or how it was, is we weren't really finding that information until it's too late. You get a denial, right? And that's not the time and place you really want to find out that you have inaccurate data, garbage in, garbage out. And it all really everything stems from my authorization team has to depend on having accurate insurance verification and benefits on file. Otherwise, we're obtaining an authorization from someplace that's not going to pay us because authorization isn't a guarantee of payment. So something like that happens, and it happens all the time. I see it all the time. So we're very looking forward to seeing the benefit of catching those red flags a lot sooner, very beginning of sort of that revenue cycle process instead of at the end, how it should be. So
exactly. And then we spoke about quality, we spoke about the automation. I think another point is completeness of data, right? Autumn, you and I have spoken about this a lot. We early on in the process, we agreed on that, hey, we want to make sure that information on all these service types, the co-pays, the co-insurance is also obtained. We don't just want incomplete or partial information. Of course,
Right.
that happens and that needs to be looked at separately. But I think just from our point of view, what we try to do is we try to maximize the completeness of information when we can, as opposed to, when people work with either the EMR, EHR, or vendors. A lot of the times the numbers they say about 80% automation, when again, I don't mean this to sound like a sales pitch, but when we say that number, I think we're talking about complete information. I think when
Right.
people out there talk about it, they talk about just returning something. I think that completeness is very important too, because if something's incomplete, you just have to spend the exact same effort in re-verifying.
Well, that is one of the things I did appreciate about your and Infinix is the flexibility, because like I said, we do come from sort of a really
Sure.
unusual, not unusual, but complicated specialty. And I think we asked for quite a few special accommodations, and you're right, specific fields that we in our certain line of industry need to have up front, because we already know we're going to get it now, or we already know we're going to get forced to get a peer-to-peer if we don't have this information, or what may be. And I thought that piece worked out beautifully, that you were able to sort of customize that for us, because that's exactly right. We wanted to get it down to literally we were
Yeah.
just pulling what just my top people needed to look at. Everything else, Infinix is taking care of. So we were able to really drill it down, so fine tune with you guys that, okay, they've got these 7 and not this one, air it out. My
Mhm.
person just takes care of that one piece that we need to take care of, and it goes right back in. So it's it's been
Great.
great so far. We're looking forward to seeing our February numbers very much, to see how that's going to have a
Absolutely.
positive impact on our bad debt adjustment. So yeah,
Super bad, Autumn. Really bad
yeah,
numbers, in fact.
yeah. No, we were lacking this
That's
for a
that's
while.
why we tried to lock you down for this before the February numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Um, so I am being told real quick, all the attendees, feel free to put in your questions in the chat as we continue this conversation. So, Autumn, I think that's a good transition into the next question I had for you, which was about the implementation
yeah,
process, right? How did we actually go from signing the contract to actually making this a reality? One of the things we just touched upon is doing a discovery, understanding needs, making sure we cater to oncology specific needs and your
yeah.
specific needs. Also, I think we invested collaboratively, mutually, a lot of effort into testing, making
Oh
sure
yeah.
that
We
the
did
right
some pretty
coverage.
thorough testing.
You want to talk a little bit about that and that
Yeah, I
experience?
mean, we spent a couple of months. I had my insurance, top notch people from my team there, worked very closely, with my predecessor on, getting through that, making sure, doing a lot of testing, making sure that, like I said, we've got a huge location base and, population of clients. So, we really had to make sure that all of our pairs were getting mapped correctly, because we've got a million different pairs. And all of fine tuning all of that stuff as far as pair mapping and getting our, certain requirements that we know are going to hold roadblocks for our line of work specifically. And you guys were able to go with the flow, and I really can't think of anything you guys weren't able to help us out with to make sort of our wish list items come true.
I think that phased approach also was helpful, right? When we looked at just your top 90% payer volumes
Oh,
first,
yes.
we
Oh, the
got that
methodology
tracking.
behind it that we used, I think, was
Yeah,
great.
I think
And
that was
we were
effective, right?
very conscientious of that. And I think we strategized that very well together between the teams of what pairs, we should and be focusing on first, and, trickling down to some of those
Sure.
outliers.
All those,
Yeah, we
more
definitely want
complex.
to get our biggest bang for the buck, and I think you guys help us accomplish that. I think how we strategize and prioritize which ones to tackle first was very helpful in getting the ball rolling much quicker.
Awesome, awesome. So, maybe I know you've touched on this in certain aspects during the previous questions as well, but having the ability to have that portion of your intake, at least the eligibility benefits right now, um, to a good degree, accurately completed for you. What are some of the downstream benefits that you expect to see or are seeing, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, a lot of the down, a lot, many downstream benefits. First of all, a reduction in rescheduling, first of all. A lot of
Yeah.
times, like I said, we had either data entry errors causing the issue, or just simply old, outdated insurance information that when our front desk staff are getting slammed with a line out the door of people, they, even though it's, part of our protocol to ask, it was not always getting, in real life situations, it was not always getting done. And this sort of basically guarantees that every time the patient comes in, because how we got it set up was only when a patient's insurance changes, then we would do a re-verification on that. And I think we worked that out very well. So people in the clinic aren't having to waste their time asking for patients each time they're coming in. We already have that taken care of. So that's it's been a huge, it'll be an even bigger benefit to our rescheduling. Nothing's worse than scheduling a patient thinking they're covered with this and we can get an authorization and then not, because our patients are in critical health situations. The last thing we want to do is unnecessarily delay treatment. It's of utmost importance that we're getting accurate information very quickly. And this has really helped ensure that the information we have on file for these patients is correct, or you've identified what is not correct about it, or that it's, term now, and clearly given us that directive back to us of what our next steps are to ensure we can obtain the either correct information or whatever missing information that we may not have been able to obtain previously. And also, of course, denials, which I know we already talked about, but that's a big one. It's one of our top denials is insurance eligibility authorizations. Those are probably two of our largest areas. And a lot of, like I said, a lot of our authorization denials, the true root cause of those is the poor process that we had up front for insurance verification. That I know it gets lumped under no authorization, but the reason why is because root cause, we didn't have the correct insurance information on file or outdated. So there's some tremendous benefits for looking forward towards. We've already seen some of them, but looking forward to even more. So
Great. I think that was all the questions I had. There's a couple of questions from the attendees. So one of the questions is, how is what you see with the Infinix software different than the regular 270, 271 automated real-time response?
I mean, we're getting information back within a few seconds immediately. I mean, as long as the payer has the availability and the information readily available to send back, but
Yeah, I think it's also about the completeness, right, of the information.
oh yeah, I
It's
mean, because we were asking for some things that we definitely were not getting through our prior vendor. I mean, the prior vendor that we were using, it was basically they have insurance. It wouldn't even identify, even if we had, let's say, just Blue Cross in there, but we had the wrong out-of-state plan. It would come back to saying, yeah, they do have Blue Cross. So it would come back saying you're eligible, but it would fail to tell us that it was the wrong plan information, which that's not very helpful. So there was, and it brought back the minimal amount of data, copay, deductible, and I think, I don't want to bore people here with all of the different little items that we had requested that we needed back specifically, but you were able to get with those pairs and route most of that back. As long as they had it available, you were able to make it available to us. And with our previous vendor, they were unable to accomplish that for us.
And I can just add something to it, right, in terms of how and why we're able to do that. I think a unique ability that we have is we don't just work with one clearinghouse, we work with multiple clearinghouses, and we have the ability to run automation on payer portals themselves. So, if we don't get certain payer coverage from one entity, we route it to another one, making sure that, we don't experience things like
That was
bad.
one of the issues, is they were not using multiple clearinghouses. They had put all their eggs in one basket, and I think we all know, well, not all the payers use use just that one solution. So to have a more well-rounded sort of bank of resources to get as much automated as possible has been a great change from what we had prior.
Yeah, and then on top of that, then we have our own algorithm that is able to look at the response and just parse exactly what is needed, right?
Right.
Instead of giving multiple values for deductibles, out-of-pockets, copay codes, we know exactly what the most relevant one is, so that you don't have to spend more time into
Figuring it
looking at
out,
that
right?
stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think the next question is your team working in your EMR, or do they need to work in the Infinix platform?
We're actually going to be working out of the Infinix platform. But I don't want to speak for Aakarsh. You can speak to what is capable, but our team is choosing to work right out of the Infinix platform. That is going to actually be sort of our source of truth, because like I was stating before, in our EMR system, that's where it's sort of those manual data entry errors are occurring. So we're choosing to use Infinix as our main working tool and sort of source of truth of what the utmost to date status is on that patient's insurance. They've got a great auditing tool on the side of it, which probably didn't even talk about, but it's great. You can really see each step where it's at. So yeah, we chose to use that just because it has a lot more benefits than our EMR is a little bit outdated, a little bit more outdated. And yeah, no, Infinix for us personally was a much better solution.
And there was just another question that popped up that asked, do you know which staff members work on which cases? So that's
Yeah. Or how I split those up. Yeah, I mean, every practice out there is going to have their own methodology of how they want to split and divide. But yeah, they were able to set up queues almost any which way you want. You can set it up by, we have over 100 locations, so we have it split up by location. You can also have it split up by payer group, by alpha split. You can pre-designate what works, so you're not having to assign work out to your staff anymore. That was another benefit. We had our team leads every day literally going, okay, what's coming in, and assigning work out. This way they just had designated queues that leadership was able to predefine and say, okay, we want these groups to work either these payers or alpha, however you decide, best for your practice. And then only, like Aakarsh is speaking of, only the errors, the exceptions populate in there. You're getting through so many more accounts with your people and the ability to get worked out so much farther prior to the date of service than previously. You don't think, oh, it's 5 seconds here. It adds up, especially in an organization our size, but there's plenty of flexibility.
Exactly what Autumn said, right? I think they choose to do the exception work on our product as well, as because our product has those workforce management features. But what we do is the outcomes we actually integrate with Florida Cancer, so
Yes.
we can send back the information right into their system as well. So yeah, so that was great. I think that are the questions for now. Autumn, you know how much I appreciate everything you do, and I appreciate you coming on today. And I believe we have to get on a call right now.
Oh yeah,
so I will.
All right. Yeah. Well, take care, everybody. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to finishing up with you guys.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
All right.
We're signing off. Bye-bye.
Bye.